Welcome. We're going to do a little something different today and for the coming weeks. So let me start by asking you a question. What do you believe about being a Christian? Do you know? I think we probably all have this belief deep in our heart that we seem to know what we believe, and maybe even in our mind, but when it comes to putting it to words, sometimes that might be a little tough. And then there's the elevator version of our speech, that 30 seconds where we need to tell somebody exactly what we believe in general terms. Compare that to the longer version with all the details of what we believe. By the way, that question, what do we believe, is not new. Look at the Old Testament. Look at the writers of the Old Testament and how they tried to interpret who they were as God's people and what they believed. And by the way, when Jesus came, he didn't come and give us a list of beliefs either. He shared parables, he shared stories, he gave us the great commandment, which is to love God and love neighbor. And he gave us the great commission, which is to make disciples. But Jesus didn't give us creeds that we know. He didn't write a book of theology. All of that was figured out by others as issues arose and questions were raised. A lot coming in the first several hundred years after Christ. But it didn't stop there. It continued over the years and continues even today with theologians and regular people like you and I. By the way, regular people like you and I, we are theologians as well, trying to figure out who God is to us. We're still trying to figure it out. The Bible gives us some direction. We call the Bible the Word of God. We also call Jesus the Word of God. And so we look to the Bible, we look to Jesus to help understand what it is that we believe, but sometimes it's not clear. Theologians work to interpret the Bible while giving the Bible the authority that it deserves. We have many, many different denominations of Christians, partly because of the different interpretations of the different parts of the Bible. Again, each denomination, each person still looking to the Bible for authority in their life. A big set of changes to our beliefs occurred in the 1500s during the Protestant Reformation. That's a topic all by itself, and so I'm not going to go into the details here. But during that time, it was important to clarify beliefs. And so in Heidelberg, present-day Germany, a group of people led by Ursinus wrote that what is now called the Heidelberg Catechism. According to the dictionary, a catechism is a series of questions and answers that help explain a given subject. It's a manual giving basic instruction on that subject. It seems mostly to maybe be associated with religion, Christianity maybe specifically, but you can find other catechisms, these series of questions and answers about different subjects as well. The Heidelberg Catechism then was written to help teach kids and adults, and as well as being an aid to preachers about Christian principles, in this case related to specifically to Protestantism. You know, I first encountered this idea of a catechism, the Heidelberg Catechism specifically, several years back when I was listening to Moody Radio. There was an author on, his name was Kevin DeYoung, and he was being interviewed about a book he wrote called The Good News We Almost Forgot, Rediscovering the Gospel in the 16th Century. I'm going to reference that book in future devotions as well. This book is about the Heidelberg Catechism. I recently found out through my studies that the Heidelberg Catechism is referenced by the United Methodist Church's Book of Discipline, the book that tells us generally what it is we believe, and that it was a basis, this Heidelberg Catechism was a basis for some of our initial beliefs in Methodism. So specifically, this Heidelberg Catechism is a series of 129 questions and answers that are to be covered over a series of 52 Lord's days. In other words, 52 weeks, helping us understand what we believe through these questions and answers. The Heidelberg Catechism is divided into 3 parts. The first part is about guilt. We're sinners, guilty, and have no way out on our own. The next set of questions and answers is about grace. God's grace is the way out. And finally, the last section of the Heidelberg Catechism is about gratitude. Because of what God has done for us, we should want to love him and serve him out of gratitude. You might wonder why I'm talking about this today. Well, here's the answer. Starting next week, first part of July, I'm going to undertake going through this Heidelberg Catechism over the next 52 weeks, sharing what we believe through these 129 questions and answers. I intend to do this basically from a Christian perspective, a basic Christian perspective, understanding that each of us may have various individual beliefs as we work to interpret the Bible for ourselves. I'm going to assume that if you are a Christian, that you treat the Bible as authoritative in your life, as I do, and that each of us are doing the very best that we possibly can in interpreting the Bible with the knowledge that we have. But I am a Protestant and a Methodist, and so it's possible, maybe probable, that as I deal with these issues, that Protestantism and Methodism will come out in my answers. So simply know this: it's okay if you disagree with what I say in a specific matter. Your disagreement may serve to help reinforce your own Christian beliefs. I suspect, though, that we will not disagree on the main tenets of our faith, that Christ is the Son of God and that he died and rose again for you and I, sinners, that our relationship with God might be repaired. So I pray that over the next 52 weeks, that if I have a belief that might be slightly different than yours, you'll accept the fact that I'm trying to do the best that I can to interpret the Bible, and I'm going to assume that you're doing the best that you can in interpret the Bible. And I pray that you'll stick with me, and when we may have differences, that you'll look past that and know that our goal is still to understand what we believe as Christians. Going through this learning may help firm up some of the specific beliefs in your mind, even if they happen to be different than mine. Okay? So next week, we're going to look at Lord's Day 1. You'll be able to continue to watch these videos through Facebook, if that's where you're watching it now. However, I've created a blog for this about what we believe, and the videos I'm actually going to store on YouTube, so that if you don't use Facebook, that might be a stupid statement since you're watching this through Facebook, but for those people that don't use Facebook, they'll still have an opportunity to follow along. Feel free to share this with others if you want. And I'm going to try to keep my post to about 7 minutes or so, give or take just a little bit, and I realize this first post might be just a little bit longer. You know, I'm excited to do this. I love this. The next year is going to help reinforce for me what I believe, and I hope you come alongside for the journey, and it will help reinforce what you believe as well. But let me say this: it's also important for us all to keep in mind that it's more than just about information. It's ultimately about transformation. So as I share information, I also pray that the information will be used to transform you more and more like Christ each and every day. So again, I hope that you'll stay with me, and I hope to see you next week.